So today we're talking about how to identify your profitable target audience. So if you don't know Elevate, here is a quick intro as to what it is. It is Waltham Forest free advice, guidance, and practical business support for small businesses, solopreneurs, freelancers, basically people like you that are based in Waltham Forest. And this session will help you to create a simple, effective action plan for the next month, supporting your growth of your business or your idea. So I am, just to introduce myself, I am Ashley Freighter. I am coming in under the workshop facilitator role under Hustle Hills, and they are a social enterprise that supports underrepresented entrepreneurs to start, grow, improve their businesses through events, workshops, and programs. And they have they have about 17,000 members at this point, so they're really doing quite well. And alongside that, I am a life and business coach, so an online coaching service that supports new entrepreneurs start and grow their business whilst managing their mental health and their emotional health, which is super important to me. Personal development is definitely my thing. Mindset is definitely my thing. So if you have any questions around that, I'm definitely the person. But I have a heavy background in event planning and execution, specifically. So if you've got any event planning questions or events questions, anything like that, I'm definitely someone that can help, as well as got a BA in business, and mindset and personal development is kind of where my coaching side comes in, and now is kind of my main area that I work on. So that's a little bit about me. I know about you. Today's session, it's all about your customers. Customers will make or break your business. If they don't buy, you're unable to generate money and needed to grow. Finding the most profitable target audience is vital to get right, and knowing how to do that effectively is the key to your success. And in today's webinar, we will be going over customer profiling, customer acquisition strategies, converting people into customers. So if you have any challenges in any of these three areas, hopefully today you walk away with knowing exactly the answers to each of those questions. So first up, bit of interaction, customer profiling. So let me know, come on and chat or type in the chat box. What do you already know about customer profiling? How does it work? Why is it important to do? Tell me your thoughts about what you already know about customer profiling. Either in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and we can have a chat. So Emmanuel, Gareth, Eileen, let me know. What is customer profiling? What do you think it is, and why do you think it's important?
I'll just go first. So is it about essentially identifying your customer, your target audience, basically?
Yeah.
And knowing what they look like, sound like, where they go, their age range, their gender, ethnicity, for example, if that's important. What they do 9 to 5 or during the day, how to access them.
Yeah.
What they listen to.
You basically just read my slides already.
Oh, really? Well, I've got off to a good start then, haven't I?
Yeah. Absolutely, you've got it right. So Gareth, tell me, what was your thoughts?
Well, I was going to say I should know this because this is you kind of touched on.
I literally just spoke
this morning. So yeah, knowing what kinds of customers you have, there might be might fall into different groups, different age groups, or for example, and once you know that, you can kind of figure out how best to reach them, and how best to serve them best.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So you both got it spot on. So what Gareth was speaking about, I just did a workshop previously and we touched on this already. So Gareth, do excuse the fact that you've seen this slide already. So basically, when it comes to like defining your target customers, it's really important to kind of create like a buying persona or a customer persona, however you want to talk about it. So for Emmanuel, it's more your users. They're going to be your end customer in the end. And it's like defining specifically how many groups of people. So for example, the same people that might football may not like, say, rugby or like tennis, for example. They're still major sporting events, but they're going to be different customers, you know? So each person kind of like, you just have to identify how many different customers you have at first. I always say, especially if you're you're solo and you're doing it by yourself, then I would focus on like one main customer, usually the ones that you're most interested in, and then kind of expand after that. Just because, you know, if you don't have a team and be able to do all the things, it could be quite overwhelming. And then the second step is therefore use this template. And it's basically, Emmanuel, you touched on basically all the demographics of when it comes to like target customers, is kind of creating a persona, putting in the demographics, age, gender, ethnicity, location, as well as the behaviors, the pain points, the motivations behind the person, and what makes them motivated to want to buy and help their decision-making process. And this is just kind of like the general template. And it's always a nice trick to kind of give it a persona. Each person, give them almost a name, because then when you're marketing or when you're selling or if you are looking for funding or anything like that, you want to get clear in your head the specific, like one person in each category or one person of each type of customer you have. And then it's really easy for you to talk. And if you want to advertise, all of those things, the clearer you are in your customers, the more effective your marketing is. Plus it's your sales, how more effective your sales is, regardless if you're selling for an investor to an investor or directly to consumer. Emmanuel has raised his hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just having a look at this thing. How do you kind of help sort of like get this information really? Like, for example, pain points. How on earth would you go about getting that sort of information from someone that you've identified to be your target
customer? Yeah, so definitely it's market research. You know, it's about, if you can, because obviously in the beginning with something like this, it's kind of like a guessing game. If you don't have customers already, you're starting from scratch. It is a guessing game of like, okay, these are things I think that they are challenged with. Like, for example, your entire app is built on the fact of people being able to get to a sporting event, but maybe saving money on travel, maybe not having the means to travel potentially as well. So they're looking for places to be able to help them with that problem, right? So the pain point immediately usually is the solution, like the reason why they're looking for a solution, you know? And to be fair, what I was going to say previously when we were talking about before is that when my fiance, he's an Arsenal fan. I don't know who you support, but he's an Arsenal fan. And we went to an Arsenal game like before like COVID and stuff. And what we do is, because he drives there, he doesn't like to take transport. He drives, so he will drive all the way to North London. We live in South East, and he goes ahead of time, and there's like parking things, so you can either use someone's drive, which is very similar to the service that you're thinking, and you go onto an app or a place, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like you find places to park that's not specifically a car park, which is really expensive. And you can either have someone that has a spot that's theirs that they rent out. There's like a school, like people that are taking over a schoolyard, and they create parking for football specifically for the Emirates. And that's what we use to be able to drive and park. So the problem was not paying over the earth to park for a particular game. Do you know what I mean? So that's a pain point. But the other pain point is, for if he was your customer in that regard, it would be the fact that he doesn't like to travel on transport. Do you know what I mean? But you only know that when you identify, okay, who, like you said, you know who your target audience kind of is. You know that they maybe support a particular team. If you want to start off niche, if that to target them, and then you can just literally ask them questions to be like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, how would you, if you were going to a game, how would you go there? If you had the, you know, money wasn't an issue, what would you prefer to, how would you prefer to get there? Would you mind sharing a car? What's the benefits of sharing a car? Like things like that. And then you can start filling this out with a little bit more of factual answers rather than the ones that you kind of think about, which you kind of have to do to start it off. And then you have the groups and market research to prove what you think true, if that makes sense.
So obviously I've got like loads of friends and they go to and from games and so I've kind of spoken to them about my initiative and what I'm proposing. And they've all kind of been receptive and they've talked about certain pain points that would alleviate as well. And with regards to what you were saying about the parking scenario, that is something I am looking to build into the app as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Allow people to advertise.
It's so required.
Everything basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's really required. It's so helpful because we've done it multiple times now. Every time we go, we just drive and we literally find somewhere to park. Even if sometimes it's someone's drive, do you know what I mean? But it is on a site where they're all advertising. So it's just a matter of money, which differentiates, and the distance is what differentiates. Like, okay, we're going to go to here, so you don't have to walk too far. And it's okay to pay that. It's not over the earth to pay for a few hours of parking. So no. I think I really think your idea is amazing, honestly. It's so needed. Okay, so this is kind of what you were talking about with the market segmentation. So this is how you start to kind of like differentiate and segment your market into 4 areas. So demographics is something that is easy. It's usually, like we said, it's the age, gender, education, sex, income level, all of the things that identify people. The geographic is quite, if it's required, it's not always for everyone, but it sounds like for everyone here, it could be something you want to be specific about. So it could be a specific country, state, town, county, particular road, maybe if you're going to get really niche. But again, with Emmanuel, like if it's going to be certain stadiums, you have Emirates, you have the one in West Ham, is it? In London somewhere? in East, what's it called?
Stratford.
Stratford, that's it.
Yeah.
And then all, you know, as well as rugby and like tennis and all the other large sporting events. Boxing is another one. We go boxing as well. That's another one. So geographics could be very helpful for you in regards to targeting those people specifically. And then you have the psychographics, which is the focus on the psychological traits of the market. So interest, values, lifestyle. So with Eileen, you're speaking about well-being, that's a really big psychographic for your market, which you probably already know that. And knowing what the subconscious motivators are, getting better health, getting exercise, being in nature, allowing, if it is someone that has some kind of ailment or some kind of health condition, that's a really good way to consistently target that particular market. And what you said about never going back to the GP or haven't been to the GP in years, that alone is just a selling point, 100%. So
can I ask a question actually on this note? So you mentioned any business, new or established, we start somewhere from a white piece, blank paper. So when I was the founder for this community interest company, when I started, exactly like you said, because the well-being market is so big, winners takes all, everyone using app. I decided to go to the niche things. A lot of people cannot use the app, cannot book online. So we fixed the 3 groups for us to start. That's older people. 60 plus. Girls and women, because a lot of people ask me to teach because they just need a female teacher. They need to know other in the internal martial arts. Not many female people around. So girls, women, and the disabled people, because I have a background working in the public health, targeting the market, and then know how huge the market, how difficult to meet their needs. So at that point, we already subconsciously kind of from our previous experience, professional work experience, narrow down these 3 groups.
Yes.
So that was our background, our profiling experience. all did like from our experience, from what we knew at the market at that time.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's good, because I think because you have data to back it up, do you know what I mean? You're not guessing, you literally have people saying, they're literally in front of you, so you know that kind of information from that perspective, because you have the people are interested, there's a demand. You know what I mean? There's a demand for it, and therefore you have just obviously you want to get more of those people, right, from each kind of area. You just want to be able to grow the awareness, get more people involved, etc., which is just getting more, I would say, because you already know your areas, it's more about, again, asking more questions. Do you know what I mean? Of like, because a year ago, because we know like things have changed quite quickly, so a year ago to today, the needs could be slightly different. We could still think, no, it's going to be this, and this, but really it's slightly changed a little bit. And it's also always good to kind of keep asking the questions, especially for the people that are already involved in your business or already getting value and it's impacting them, asking more and more of those questions as to like maybe why, how it can be improved, like all of those things, if they're not already just voluntarily telling you anyway. Because again, that will help you to communicate with people that don't know you, but it's going to be something that is going to be helpful for more people like that will have that same thought based on the current circumstance. Because things, you know, it just changes so much with new inflation and like the way things are currently at the moment. That's a new, slightly different way of thinking about anything that's to do with your health. It could put more pressure on needing well-being and needing that service, or it could take people away because there's so much uncertainty that will make them feel like, oh, I don't know if I have that time or money to spend, because I don't know how much my bills are going to be in the next 12 months. Do you know what I mean? Or 3 months or whatever else. So the circumstance of the market does also influence. So that's why it's important to keep asking the questions every year, or maybe every 6 months, or even when they finish a class, just small things to be like, is there any way I can improve it? What's going on with you? Any challenges that you have? Do you know what I mean? So you kind of keep
I'm glad we are doing that, continuous engagement. We have a core group and 25 people, which we have a monthly chat.
That's good.
To get their views. Yeah, good. Yes. Thank you.
Amazing. No worries. So yes, and then behavioral here, we focus on consumers, which is, I've got a typo, but decision making and buying process, attitudes on the brand and the way they use it. So that's all about like when you have a brand that you trust, how they build that trust already, but it's more the behavior. Do people like, do they like to pay online? Do they like to do a transaction online, or do they like to do it in person? You know, so you start to understand where they are specifically, who they are as how they would identify themselves, what motivates them based lifestyle, interests, values, because a value for Emmanuel will be like time saving or cost saving, you know, whereas a behavior, your people 100% most of the time are going to be buying online. Like that's their general buying behavior, you know. So therefore it just helps you to really narrow down quite a big market that can feel quite competitive, you know, and narrow it down a little bit more for your specific audiences. Okay, that was it. So so let me know if that makes sense. Do you have any more questions about these 2 slides? So the segmentation and defining your target customers. Let me know if you have any more questions before we move on.
Out of curiosity, are we going to get a copy of these slides?
Yeah, so there's going to be a recording. I don't know. I assume they're going to send across the slides too. So yeah, basically, yes, all in all.
Okay, cool.
So do you have any other questions on these sections before we move on? No. Okay. So customer acquisition strategy. So tell me, again, what do you feel is a customer acquisition, first and foremost? What is it? And how important is it to have different strategies? Unmute yourself, chat in the chat box, let me know. Why is it important to have a customer acquisition, and how important is it to have different strategies?
So I would think that, I don't know much about this, hence why I'm here, but acquiring a customer is essentially making a sale and probably retaining that customer as well. And I would also assume for different customers, you need different strategies to rope them in essentially. So what would work for example, I could probably think to myself, maybe advertising down one particular medium channel via a subset of customers may not work for another subset of customers. So for example, advertising, I don't know, on using Facebook ads would work for some people, and then using radio, in-car radio would work for another set of people.
Other people.
I don't know if that's correct, but I would assume something along those lines.
It's very true. It is. So customer acquisition really is just about how you acquire a customer, how they go from being a stranger that they don't know you up until paying you money and literally becoming a customer, literally just your process. And it could be multiple, like you said, you can use paid ads route, you can use an organic route, you can do word of mouth, like there's so many different options for you to do so. But I think, again, knowing your customer and their buying behavior will help know what strategies are going to work better for you. Okay, so here are...
Sorry, can I just quickly ask, what's the difference between customer acquisition and marketing?
So to be honest, customer acquisition is just a process. It's just a fancy term. It's just a process of taking someone from literally a stranger, like don't know your brand, all the way to they've bought from you, they trust from you, and they like what it is you provided value to them, you know. And then marketing is basically how you communicate to them. So the strategy is just the process, and then the marketing is just how you then communicate to them, I would say. Just define. Good question, like it. Okay, here are the marketing channels. And so, you know who your customers are. We need to find the best way and the most effective ways to reach them using the right channels and platforms. So offline channels are really quite good, similar to basically this, is if you've got a physical product, but none of you do. No, none of you do. They're more service based. So this may not be completely useful, but if anyone's watching offline and on a replay, then if you do have a physical product, these are quite good to understand what the different channels look like. So I'll just go through them just so you know, because even a service-based product can move into different channels depending on, you know, the growth and where it is that you want it to go. So you have the direct channel. So that is direct to consumer. Probably you hear that term quite a lot. And that's basically you as a producer at the top, and then you talk and market directly to the person that's paying you, which is your customer, client, however you want to describe it. So for Emmanuel, you are the app, you are the person, and then you have your consumer is going to be the people that book on via your platform to find travel to get to a sporting event. Again, Gareth, you know who your customers are, you just had one, so you know that those are your consumers. So retail channel is therefore you're the producer again, but you don't have direct contact with the end customer. So you have someone in the middle. This is usually quite good for, again, like for a product. For example, if you made, I don't know, cookies or brownies or something, and then you decided that you wanted to have a brownie mix sold in Tesco or Asda. And then you would go to the retailer of someone in Tesco or Asda, and then they will put it on the shelf, buy it from you, and then your consumer will be their customers. I mean, it's a great way for you to still have your direct channel plus adding a retail channel on top of that. If you are a service-based business, for example, Gareth, I feel like if you're the producer and then the retailer is almost could be like similar to what Lamy Emmanuel was doing, like a marketplace almost, so where you can kind of like advertise to someone else's audience, but it's relevant to them, to be able to kind of expand your awareness and be able to target customers that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to target because they're not within your current markets, to expand, plus still doing your direct, like your tutoring and your direct to consumer side. And then you have the wholesale, which as you can see, it's just you're getting further away from the consumer, but you're adding more people into the chain. And I always say that you have to be quite aware of your profit margins, because the more people you add in, the less real profit you take home, because you've got to pay everyone a little cut as part of their service.
Yeah, so I do, well, from myself, I do get some students through booking sites, agents.
Yeah.
And they obviously take a considerable cut, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they are good, because as long as you can justify the amount that they are paying for your service, and therefore the money you're getting taken out because of the agents taking their cut, as long as you can keep justifying that amount so it's feasible for your business to keep doing it, you're getting good amount of people coming through, I can assume. So it's just another chain to be able to just get more customers. Of course, that's what you want. But I think the problem becomes when it becomes not profitable to have that, and you only get 1 or 2 bookings, and then the price of the bookings may not be as much as it needs to be able to keep that going, you know. So then you have the wholesale chain, and that is, again, you have someone that's distributing, or is wholesale, buy on bulk, distributes to a retailer to be able to sell in large bulk that, but you don't really have much, you know, dealings with all these kind of things, because you just provide the product. That's all you do, and make that contract. And again, so I always say direct is kind of like very immediate. Retail then becomes more like, so direct is more local. Retail becomes more like within your area, your borough, should we say, or maybe London as a borough, as a city. And then wholesale, I feel like then becomes like national. And then I feel like agent channel, which you can see it gets a lot more complicated, becomes like global. So I just see that as the growth stepping stones of the expansion of where you want your business to go. It may not be your channel, but it's just good to know that how you can start to diversify your revenue and be able to get more and more, you know, customers from places that you wouldn't necessarily have access to those people. So I think it will be helpful of growing the business, you know. So, but usually when you've got a team to keep expanding, because it's too much for one person, personally. Okay, so digital marketing. So you know your channels, and especially if you're offline, it's quite good to know your channels. Now, this is going to be relevant for most of you, where digital marketing is what we talk about: social media, email, SEO, all of the things. So digital marketing is a marketing of products or services using digital technologies on the internet, through mobile phone apps, display advertising, etc. Here are all the different options on how to reach your customers online. So I'll just kind of go through the main relevant ones. So we have content marketing, which is basically your like YouTube, it's your anything really, white papers, like literally anything that is of a digital product that is providing value to your customer is technically what you call content marketing. I feel like at the moment people use that term quite easily, so it can dissipate what the actual meaning is, because you've got social media marketing which looks separate, but they kind of blend it into one. And I would say social media marketing is specifically social media, right? Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of the things. Specifically to social media, you build an account, you provide content marketing, you provide content into it for people to get value and hopefully move them down the funnel of going from you don't know who you are to becoming a customer. So going back to content marketing, I would say that is, yes, part of social media, but then you also have, like, say, for example, a blog is like content marketing. You've got video is a form of content marketing. You've got newspaper article, newspaper articles or white papers, they call them, ebooks, all of those things are content marketing. Email, and as you know, you probably get bombarded with like 1 million emails in your spam all the time. Influencer marketing is quite a good one if it's relevant, which I feel like it can be relevant for every business, in all honesty, but it's just whether you want to invest in it and how you can measure it. Because what I find is a lot of brands I want someone to mention it, but it's very hard. They're not measuring it well to know if it's worth their money, right? Everybody wants a good like, but if those likes don't turn into money, then it's a bit of a waste of time. The brand awareness side of it is, but it's what you do with that attention, which is really important to then move them down towards becoming a potential client. Viral marketing is basically like YouTube. So any kind of thing that goes viral. TikTok right now is literally like one of the best viral marketing tools available. And mobile marketing is similar to basically what Emmanuel will be doing, where you have an app really, and you will be advertising. On the app, I was learning about YouTube ads recently, and they have different ways of, like, especially on mobile, because everybody's on their phone, making sure that when you're marketing, it is got the right sizing, the pixel, everything's, the ratio is all together for words. It's right ratios for it to be viewed on a phone, because very little people nowadays actually are on their desktop. They're always on their phone. So it's important to be able to market the same message, have the same impact, but just in a smaller version. Radio and TV ads, I mean, people are still doing it. I would add podcasting to this part as well, because podcasting is also another form of digital marketing now, where you have a lot of people that are doing like sponsored ads. And obviously podcast is growing at a rapid speed. And then TV ads, as you know, they're still pretty useful, to be honest, especially during lockdown. Everyone was watching TV. So of course that is going to be helpful. Electronic billboards, I mean, we know what that is. SEO is, search engine optimization, Google, basically. And you can, have your website, make sure it is optimized so it's searchable. And it's just bringing up your website to be on the front page of Google, basically, or Yahoo, or whatever it is, but specifically to come up on the front page. And then pay-per-click is basically paid advertising through Google, or basically Facebook, or Meta, as it's called now, specifically. So these are all the different mediums of digital marketing. And this is a way of what Gareth was saying, the difference between acquisition and marketing. This is basically it. You decide how you're going to acquire and what route you're going to acquire a customer. So here is a little activity for you. So it's Peloton. I hope everybody knows what Peloton is.
I actually have one of those.
You do? Oh, nice. I don't have one, but you clearly know what it is. Are they worth all the money that they are advertised for?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a very confident answer. That's good.
Yep.
Okay, so you work for Peloton and the marketing department, you have been creating a task to create a simple strategy, basically just taking the 2 slides that I just went through, and on how they can market a new bike and monthly subscription to new customers specifically. So 2 things to do. All you got to do is decide what marketing channel you want to use to advertise this new bike and monthly subscription, and then identify the best 3 digital marketing strategies that you're going to use to get in front of new customers. So we can just talk about it, to be honest. So number 1, what marketing channel would you want to use to be able to sell this new Peloton bike? Would you, tell me which marketing channel will work?
Social media would certainly work.
Yes, social media. So would you therefore stick to the direct to consumer channel of marketing, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I would say direct channel and retail.
And retail. Yeah. Because
me too. I would say direct and the retail, even wholesale, because there's a lot of physical bike, for example, wholesalers already there. They can tag into.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. So I feel like direct, it depends on your strategy, right? So if you want a direct to consumer, like Gareth said, that's one type of client. Then of course they're going to be people that are actually retail, that are physically going into a store and will prefer to actually try the bike in store rather than seeing it online, kind of thing. And then obviously wholesale, of course, is distributed at a large batch at one time. So what second one is identify the best 3 digital marketing strategies. So Gareth already says social media. What other strategies would you go with?
I would definitely say TV, influencer, and apart from social, and search engine optimization.
Okay, cool. So why would you go for TV?
So, because you would still have a lot of people that watch TV and see ads.
Yeah.
And I mean that form of advertising works.
Yeah.
Works for years, and especially if it's a physical product, people will probably want to see somebody actually using it. TV as one of them. Obviously, the influencer market. If people are following specific fitness influencers, if they're seeing using the product, or other people that are popular now turn to fitness, using the product they could influence. And then also I'd say search engine optimization. If people are searching for, I don't know, like fitness related stuff, it will pop at the top of their list.
Yeah, no, definitely. So how did you buy it? So you obviously they acquired you as a customer. So what was your journey?
How did I buy it? So I was looking for a more convenient way to get some fitness in, while taking into consideration I have to get to work, and it was more about, I was thinking, okay, in the winter, I really don't want to get up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, how can I get around that? And then I think I went online and I was just looking at bikes and other stuff, and they started popping up. And
so did you search it on Google first, if you remember?
No, I didn't search Peloton. I didn't know who Peloton was. I just searched exercise bike. And
okay.
It was the top.
And
then I went down the YouTube route.
So that's the SEO.
Yeah. Then I went down the YouTube route and started seeing people talking about it and influencers and stuff like that. And then then after a while I just made a purchase, and then I made a purchase, and then all of a sudden, probably about a month or 3 later, I started seeing ads on TV, and I was like, oh, I've got one of those. And then
is it essentially a exercise bike with the app, with the screen and stuff?
Yeah, so it has a screen attached to it's a spin bike. Well,
I have reimagined, or it was almost like rebranded the exercise bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because it's got a digital screen and it's all hooked up through like this app, it's the instructors tell you how fast to go, how much is add and this, that, and you can actually see that, and the screen and the bike all work hand in hand.
Is there feedback? Can like your performance, will it kind of go to the, you know, whoever's doing a class or something? Do they get to kind of see?
If you're doing a live class, they'll be able to see, you know, what's going on.
Okay.
So it's very immersive. Very, very.
All right.
Oh, look, Gareth sounds like he's interested. That's what marketing does. So literally this is real time. Like, this literally what your Emmanuel's journey was, from not even knowing who Peloton was, from searching just bikes, came up, probably pay-per-click to get them, or SEO to be able to get them top of page potentially, got interested. There was clearly something there that kind of, maybe it was certain words that you saw that made you feel like, oh, okay, let's have a look, whatever. And then of course YouTube, which is just the viral marketing in that regard, like it just, you went down there. And then influence marketing helped to amplify the importance and the trust of the brand. And then, which I'm assuming crossed into social media as well at some point. And then you kind of became a customer after that. So technically that is an acquisition strategy. There you go. For that.
I never actually, that's really interesting. Okay. I never actually knew. Now I know that things have changed.
Yeah. We're always being sold to all the time without us even know. And it's the best ways is that you didn't even know you were sold to.
Yeah, it just felt like I thought I was just making those decisions on my own, not really. I think it's amazing, brilliant.
Google is in charge. Google is always in charge.
Absolutely brilliant.
So, and it's all Google, because search expert is Google, YouTube is Google. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously if you were on Instagram or something like that, then it moves into Facebook. But ultimately Google influenced your decision, majority of it, for you to purchase it.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Google knows you really well. So this is how you can start to be like, okay, this is how I am as a consumer, and this was my, all the things that you've got is literally you've been acquired somehow for whatever that is. Your customers are the same type of humans, you just have to know what kind of behaviors that they have, because Google or Peloton knew that you were an online buyer rather than go into store, try it out, because they got stores, but that wasn't for you, because you didn't specifically know Peloton, but you were just looking for a bike, and you just, other things made you a bit more, that compelled you to want to go ahead with Peloton versus other brands that are now coming out. There's loads of them that are coming out similarly. Just understanding what your customer's journey kind of looks like in that regard. Let me see if there's another slide. Okay, yeah. So Eileen, let me know. Oh, you've been a bit quiet. You've been listening. Eileen, are you still there?
Yes, I've been listening, yes. The one thing I just want to add is that when we do the social media marketing, for example, in this particular case, of course, you will pay money to target those group, like Emmanuel's, like a kind of group already search a lot online for bikes. I have a friend every weekend who pay a lot of money, 70, 80, to attend some bike, group of people. They have a particular routes. They do that. So you will pay them money to particularly target these kind of group people already online, already on bike.
Yes. Yeah.
Looking for new experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think social media, of course, like nowadays, it's kind of hard not to think about marketing or digital marketing without thinking about social media anyway. Because there's so many people, regardless of the age of it, it influences their decisions so much, So if your people, different groups of people, are on social media, then you're doing the right thing. You're targeting them, you're kind of reaching them where they're at, because each platform, of course, kind of has a different type of vibe, you know, and I feel like from Eileen, from what you said, that especially if they're maybe those that are slightly older, like Facebook is pretty good for them in that regard. If they're on Facebook, if they're on social media, Facebook is probably the place, and they're in groups for sure, like communities, very community based, is really good because you're building your own community anyway as well. So I feel like, yeah, definitely where you're at and what you're doing seems to be working very well. Very well. So final part, we kind of breezed through it quite quickly actually. So the final part is converting people into customers. We kind of spoke about that literally in Emmanuel's example. Was more, we can go and use you as an example with Peloton in the next one as well, to be at what stages you're at. But for now, converting people into customers, just tell me what you know about it. How do you think it benefits your business to be able to do that? How do you think it works? Let me know.
Well, I would say, so converting people into customers, first of all, need to have something that they want to buy.
Yes.
Right. Two, know where they're going to be. And then three, turn up there and offer it.
I mean, yes, it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as I say it's as simple as that, but it's probably not as simple in reality. I mean, in some aspects it is that simple, but
yeah, no, it is. It really is. I mean, we really do complicate things naturally as human beings, but really business is usually pretty simple, step by step. But this is different ways of going about it. So yeah. Anyone else? I feel like Gareth has something to say. No, maybe not.
I'm not sure what I can add, really.
Okay. Emmanuel just hit all three nails on the head. It was a good guess. It's good. Yes. So here is, which is kind of what we were talking about with Emmanuel's example with Peloton, and like how from a digital marketing perspective and the strategies of acquiring Peloton used to acquire Emmanuel technically is there. But when we speak about the marketing funnel, now this is where almost, should we call that the acquisition process is basically that, if that makes sense. So you have the different steps of how you're going to get the client to be a client, like the stranger to be a client. And then obviously this is the communication of how you communicate with them at every stage of that journey, if that makes sense, of that process. So you have your awareness stage, which is the top of the funnel. You've got your interest, so the person's kind of interested a little bit but want to find out more information. Then you have the decision stage. Now this is where they are comparing a lot of the time you against a competitor within your industry and your market. And then the action is usually the person deciding to buy or not, one of the two. So when it comes to your customers, when we spoke about the profiling, this is really important to know where their psychographics come in quite usefully here, because it's all about how they like to be spoken to. And this is where it can get a little complicated, because you don't know until you start trialing it out, until you ask them specific questions. For example, if someone likes to shop online but hate to pay for delivery, that's a psychographic. They want to know that there's you have to pay extra. They want to feel like they're saving money, right? So that's a really high value for them. So if you then go to market, you're on social media or you do a blog or SEO, whatever, you put a piece of content out there, a video, and then you speak about, that you only use or you only provide free delivery. Immediately, that customer, obviously, as long as you know that whatever the product or services is of use to them, that customer's ears are going to prick up. Their awareness is now exposed. They're like, oh, who are you? Because you now give free delivery, because they're more interested at this point to be like, who are you and what do you do? So then when they're like, okay, they're curious, they kind of now paying attention, they know who you are, they know your business or service exists, then they're going to be like, I need to dig in. So this is basically sorry, Emmanuel, but taking your example again from Peloton, is that lead generation was you going on SEO, you going on to Google, probably typing something in about bikes. You saw something, there was something that made you click on whatever it was that gave you more information about all the different types of bikes. There could have been, like you just said, your motivator was that you wanted to be able to not have to leave your house in the winter. You wanted it to be convenient, basically. You wanted it to be convenient, and you wanted it to be of value, money-wise, I'm assuming as well, not paying end of the earth. Plus, you're quite techie by the sounds of it. So you want something also that's quite digital. It's got an app attached to it. So to you, that's super high value, because to your needs, it's ticking all those boxes.
Yeah.
So whatever you've read of all the different ones that you saw, there was something about Peloton, or maybe there was another one that you was looking at some point that you thought, okay, maybe it's between these two. Yeah. But the point is, you then started to get interested in it, and then you started to go to social media. You went to YouTube. Went into YouTube to get more information, because you're like, okay, I know there are bikes that exist. I want to narrow down the particular one that I want. I need to get more social proof, really, and get more information, read more about it, to be able, which is usually free tools, things like that. And then, which is interesting, is you got retargeted to. So you started seeing ads probably at some point during this time, before you started making your decisions. You started seeing ads because you went on a page, they got cookies, and then they're running ads, and they're retargeting those ads because you was interested in something around bikes. Mm-hmm. Then you started seeing it all over the place. Like, probably, like, you're on YouTube, you're typing in the same keywords, Google, YouTube, same thing. And then they have the ads retargeting. And then anytime, and I'm sure with Facebook, don't quote me, but I know that there must be some you can either buy, or maybe they're running them at the same Facebook as well as on Google ads potentially as well. So you're starting to see content that's based on the things that you're looking for. The retargeting is really powerful. Mm-hmm. Then you started to be like, okay, I'm learning enough now. Peloton looks like it's probably going to be the one, but you probably did have another one that you were like, oh, comes kind of close, but people are talking more about Peloton than this particular one. Social proof is really going to be the thing, like you said, people using the product, their opinion, their reviews, their testimonies, all of those things. If Peloton also then had any type of discount at the time, or maybe using the words like easy to download, stuff like that are going to be things, free trials, demos, all of those things are really helpful tools to help you make a better decision, right? And then you thought, okay, I've got enough information, I think I'm going to go for this. And you took action and completed your purchase through their website or wherever else it was, and you became a client. So that's kind of basically from the different stages of awareness, like of your journey, from being a complete stranger to then becoming a customer to that brand. That is how it works.
Okay.
So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense of just the kind of, because my next slide is about the content. So basically, because it's easy sometimes to know, like, these are the 4 main stages, but then what content, which is giving you a few ideas here, is helpful to be able to provide them at those particular stages. So you have, again, top of funnel, tofu, middle of funnel, mofu, and bottom of funnel, bofu. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. So you have the different types of content that's relatable to each stage. So again, because it's so subconscious, we don't realize that we are consuming all these different types of content in order for us to make a good decision. And sometimes you have to see, and I think it says you have to see a brand about 21 times now until you become a customer for them. You trust them enough to give them money, basically. And before it used to be like 7, but now it's increased just because there's an ocean of information and options out there. It can be quite overwhelming trying to figure out what one you want to go for. So looking at the content, so this is how you start moving your people that you think are your customers. You do a bit of market research on them to actually be in your actual paid customers that are using your service or products. So for the top of funnel, the awareness stage that we spoke about, like blog posts are really, really quite good. Podcasts are quite good as well nowadays. If you go on Spotify, there's ads again that are advertising new podcasts that are out, or maybe sometimes it's related and sometimes it's not. I think they're gonna get better at advertising on podcast platforms for sure. But at the moment, it just seems to be whatever's new is just coming and popping up. And then you have and it depends on you as a person or your customer. Again, the customer profile. What is it they like? Some people like to read, other people like to watch, and then some people also therefore like to listen. So sometimes you get it coming from all areas. But if you know your customer, you will know that, okay, an infographic is going to work really well to be able to describe the process of my service, for example, or maybe an ebook because it's quite information heavy, maybe. So they really want to know in quite great detail, maybe it's a guide or something like that, to really understand the process that maybe could be quite complex. Or it could be as small as thing as just a video, in all honesty, a quick 3-tip video, because that's going to work for them, And then middle funnel is therefore the evaluation side of things. And that's it's like interest stroke engagement, like that chunk where people are educating themselves. They want to know, is this going to work? Is it going to work? Is it not? And they want to hear from other people, has it worked for them? Because we are all creatures of habit of wanting to not lose out. You don't want to take a big risk and lose. So you want to know that you're making a very educated decision before you go ahead and pull the plug. So then quizzes work really well. But just saying that would be quite good for you, Emmanuel, actually. I think a quiz would be quite good to know really, or survey or something like that, to know really what people are looking for when it comes to transport, and more the app side of things as well, like the user experience as well. I think would be also quite good for you to get the initial understanding of what's working, what's not, what to improve, type of thing.
Oh, what, getting people to actually play about with the app. And
even if it's a demo, have you got demos out or?
Yeah, no, I've got a working demo that I've sent out to a few friends and stuff.
Yeah,
and they've got some feedback. So
yeah, I think that would be quite good to use to start gathering, especially if you want to go get funding. As much data that you can collect is the best, honestly, because it just means there's more demand, there's more need for it, so it's lowering the risk of them giving you money and you not losing it basically, you know what I mean? So yeah, getting as much facts and figures as you possibly can will be really helpful for you, for sure. And then bottom of funnel, we spoke about demos, but clients, customer stories, comparisons do really well. If really they're ready to be okay, I'm going to use this site or use this product or service versus something else. And then if it works for you, some people, a webinar or an event, it just depends if that works for your particular business, and how you can just best communicate the different stages, what they're looking for, because they're just looking for different things at different stages. And it's just the best way that you can communicate that information to the particular person that's reading it, and that best showcases your product or service, for sure. So do you guys have any questions about content marketing or the marketing funnel as a whole?
So just so I'm aware. So
yeah,
the top part,
yes, yeah.
So this is just essentially the different channels you would use to raise awareness.
Yes.
So for example, if you was about to create a web page,
yeah,
use SEOs to make sure that when people search for something along the lines of what I'm doing, my site appears first. And maybe through like raising awareness through other channels such as video, radio, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, tweets,
all of them.
So I suppose the middle, this is probably where I'm a little bit
unsure.
A little bit unsure just at this part, considering what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Yeah, this is where I'm a little bit unsure. I mean, I get the last bit, which is just getting people to either to advertise what they want to do on my app.
Yeah.
Just to be able to use it. So I get that, but it's just the middle bit. I'm a little bit.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, yours is quite, because it's the marketplace, you've almost got double sides. So you have direct to consumer in the sense of you first of all, you need to get people to advertise on your platform.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, you then need to be able to bring in the audience to come on the platform to therefore make that that transaction.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, they call it, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like double-sided basically, on both sides. So how you would obviously advertise for people that are providing the travel or the cars or the vehicles versus or parking spaces, versus how you therefore will communicate to the people that are looking for that solution. They, as we spoke about in the persona, they're two different people, right?
Okay.
And
so you'd use a persona. Okay.
Okay,
I understand.
So you would talk to them very differently in that regard. And then I would definitely say that the people, because it's kind of like chicken and egg. Which one do you have first? The people that are providing the spaces and the vehicles, or the people that want to buy it? Like, do you know what I mean? And you almost need to do it simultaneously so that you can create, because if you're advertising for people to advertise on there, they want to know that you've got people already interested. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, you want the people that are the consumers, they need to know they're people that they have options, because obviously that's what you want to provide them, is loads of options to their solution. So I would definitely have both sides of it. And it sounds like from the demo, is it people that are the consumer or the people that would advertise?
It's both. Because it's both. I've spoken to both sets of people. So I mean, I've spoken to people that drive to games. They just go to games. Or people that just go to games and just use normal transport. For example, my friend, he drove to the Liverpool Arsenal game a couple of weeks back. That was just him on his own. He had about 2 or 3 spare seats in his car. And there were other people that went up to the game and they caught the train. More money, whereas they probably could have hooked up in some way, shape or form. So I understand what you're saying about trying to get both sides to come up. I wrote something down here. When Uber started off, they essentially, from what I understand, went to find drivers first and foremost, people that were already doing what they were doing, and just got them just to advertise. And as it didn't really cost them anything. Nobody was losing out.
100%.
And then from there, when passengers came on board, they already seemed like there was a service
ready there. That's operating.
I literally only heard that the other day. So
it makes sense. For sure. And I think a good way to advertise it, as you were talking, what came up was, it's a good way to make passive income. Do you know what I mean? And that's a good way to advertise. Be like, of course. Like, if I don't have to pay to advertise, then why not? Do you know what I mean? As long as they're okay and they support the solution. They don't mind. So your friend, would he have minded having people pay him for his seats in his car whilst he's going to the game? Is that something he would be open to, or was that something that he was like, I don't know how I feel about having strangers in my car? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is fair enough. Yeah, but I suppose I've had this conversation with people before, because they're all like-minded anyway.
Yeah.
That connection is already, you already have that connection there. It's already built in place subconsciously. So
yeah.
It's like having, what do I call it? It's like having that, trying to get that sort of pub culture.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when it comes to sport,
drinking, minus in the car.
Yeah.
Like pre and post match pub culture.
Yeah.
In the
car. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I like that. It's true. And sports is like that. Because when I think about my fiance, and even if I have a postman, he's got an Arsenal mat outside, immediately, if someone's like an Arsenal fan, they're like, oh yeah. But if they're not, then they just have a thing. Like, it's just a thing that when it comes to football and other sports, other people that are like-minded. So I can see, yeah. So definitely, I think for the middle part for you, definitely would look like, depending on who you're talking to, again, if you're talking to consumers and you want them to sign on and do the transaction, then it would probably be more of I suppose in some ways it's educational for them to understand the theory behind it, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But I think where it will be helpful is in your persona, understanding the motivators behind them. So if they want to save money, you talk about in your educational content, all about money, saving money to get to a game. Do you know what I mean? If they want they don't want to get on transport, that's what you talk about in that middle part, to educate and help them understand, like, okay, this is an option that I didn't know it existed, but I'm considering it.
Yeah.
You know?
When I spoke to my next door neighbor, he said to me, and I didn't even realize this, he said, at least if I was to take people to a game, I know I'm always guaranteed a pint. Okay,
there you go.
I'm always guaranteed at least 1 free pint, so it will be all right.
Yeah, and that's market research, and those are the kind of like those comments are the ones that you need, because that, as throwaway as it is, so many people have that. That will relate to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like a Twitter kind of thing as well. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, well, I don't use it. I'm not on Twitter, but I do have an account, but I'm not.
Yeah. You know, it sounds like a conversation, like type of vibe, like jumping on football conversation. I don't know how, Twitter can be. I'm not on Twitter like that, and I know it can be quite an intense environment in conversations that are about, like, rivalry teams and all of that. But that's where they're at. If they're talking about it, you need to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Definitely.
In that regard. So yes. Okay. So any other questions from Gareth or Eileen? Any other questions around content marketing?
Yes, this is Eileen. I just want to ask, in terms of this tofu, of course, I eat a lot.
Yeah.
T stands for top, middle, B is the bottom.
Yes.
What is the OFU? Just easy for us to remember.
Oh, just funnel. They just shortened it. Yeah. FU is just short for funnel. So top of funnel, middle of funnel.
Okay.
And
bottom of funnel. Yeah. I think Emmanuel used his case, explained very well. From my experience, getting people to do Tai Chi or change lifestyle habit, we are all about connecting with the nature. Okay. Low cost, low impact to environment. I have the same experience. Middle part, morpho, is really more targeted. You need to mobilize all your volunteers or your existing students to do that.
Yes.
Particularly for us, because we are very, very local based. Obviously, we do online class, but nobody likes online. After lockdown, we cannot wait to go back to the green space,
Yeah, of course.
Very localized, physical kind of meeting together with the social distance. So morph part of us very important, before we convert them, then let them join in.
Yeah, 100%. I think, do you do like free like passes type of thing?
We do everything. We do local, the big festival, Waltham Garden Party, Chingford Garden Party. We perform, talk to people. We run a joining session for free.
Yeah.
Then through the events, then we give discount for joining.
Yeah.
You know, we do this regular yearly program. COVID-19 changed all our thing, but we are picking up again. Because now we do half of classes online, half of classes physical.
Yeah.
But our target audience, 50 plus, they love Facebook. My own daughter, teenager, never use it.
Yeah, I don't either.
So kind of Facebook is a quite a big thing for us.
It is.
The community group, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So we do all these kind of things. Plus the reason we do online classes, because some of our people are very vulnerable, they still cannot, afraid to get in touch with anyone.
Yeah.
They get used to the Zoom. So we also do these online classes.
Yeah.
But my key point from all the teaching, your coaching and Emmanuel's startup case, the middle part for us, very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because you are almost re-educating people on a different way of basically living, of course the middle part is always going to be the main part for most people anyway. Top funnel work is usually very easy. You just put stuff out there and see what sticks, but it's bringing it. And I think the middle part is when you start to really know your audience, to know what really works for them. And that's why the persona stuff and spending time on the psychological differences and the behavioral stuff is going to come in here, because that will motivate them to keep moving down towards the bottom. So it sounds like you're doing quite well anyway. And I had a question as you were talking. When it comes to your online classes, especially if it's nature and stuff like that, do you try to incorporate things that are within the house to create that kind of like nature, green space type of environment when they're not going outside?
Yeah, good question. We ask our instructors to have a kind of green background.
Yeah.
Virtual. But interestingly, actually, what we found is our online classes only attract those who have already known us, who have already been in our physical class.
Yes.
Any new one, we dare not.
Dare
not ask to join because they won't have good experience. That's our difficulty. We cannot get anyone to join online if it is stranger. Kind of new start. And also to convert the middle into bottom. At the moment, we are nearly 7-8 years hobby-like old. So we try to refresh us to have a more systematic way to measure our success. For example, recently, November to January, we completed Sports England to give out a lot of money for community groups like us. After COVID-19, can you please get this group of people who never been out of the house to do something? So we ran a funding project. So you know when you provide a free training. I'm against the free training, but in the funding, they want to give people free training. I like people pay £1, £2, a little bit commitment.
Of course.
Something free, they just don't turn up. Hello. So, but anyway, we ran these 3 rounds of funding project. And we are coming to the end. So we are measuring, even the free project after these 3 months, different people, different courses, how many they are now, right now, they are thinking, they are asking more information. They give us bespoke information. Look, I cannot afford to pay this amount. Can I afford this amount? We say yes. So we are interested to see how much the percentage we're going to the more fee. And things. So we are trying to do that to be more measurable.
Of course. So do you do a membership? Sorry to just go into
we do membership. That's the only way to get a legal data.
Okay.
I mean, we have a database, so we can and train up our volunteers, champions, ambassadors, whatever the term you use. Then we can have a group of core people that help us to reach out, because this is a very physical class, word of mouth. And for our target audience, older people, disabled people, a lot of it is through word of mouth. Give them extra support for a disabled group. Can I send a volunteer, meet you at the nearby meeting point?
Oh, that's nice.
Give them confidence.
Yeah.
We call it the volunteer champion. Bring them in for the first 3 classes until they are confident enough.
Yeah, no, of course. No,
so we do a lot of bespoke kind of things. For the time being, for our target audience. Of course, everyone will say you want to get everybody trained, everybody. But it's too big for us. We don't want everybody. This is a winners takes all market. You know, if you have money, if you online, it's just too much information, too much choice.
No, definitely.
100%. Yeah, I have a teenage daughter. I saw their behavior. Every day parcel delivered to door. They spend 50% time to return the parcel. I say, goodness me.
Yeah.
Environment.
No, definitely. No, it sounds like you're doing such good work. It sounds like a very community-based project and company, which is really good, and it's so needed. And you clearly have a demand for it because there's people that are coming back and they really are benefiting from it. So I think it's, of course, every business is more about getting more of the same people in, new people in, and trying different things. But like you said, you've got data to show that online is not quite working based on kind of like your position at the moment. If you want to push that, of course you can. But if you prefer that and you know the value is better in person, then of course, like people are more, and it's outside. So which I think is really good, because then you're not faced with people like, I don't want to be in an enclosed place with like, you know, indoors because of like COVID, you're outside. So it becomes a lot more accessible. Only seasonal could be like, I'm assuming could be partially a little bit of a challenge at times if it's raining or, you know, snowing.
Yeah. At the moment, anytime raining, we have our own WhatsApp group. People just go on Zoom.
Which is
we
good.
We don't stop people's behavior. That's our main thing, because behavior change takes years.
100%.
So we keep them in some way. Even on Zoom, somebody, you know, fed up, teacher, I cannot understand what you're doing. We say, okay, let's leave 10 minutes, have a little bit of community chat. Coffee, because they are in your own space.
Absolutely. No, 100%.
So good to have a confirmation. We are doing kind of our little thing, right thing, but always so much more to learn from Emmanuel, from other colleagues.
100%. It's I'm so pleased that, you know, it's nice to have like a small group, because you can really get into the details of the things that you actually are looking for, rather than it being just a carbon copy and just like, you know, cut and paste type of thing. So I'm hoping, like, what are your biggest takeaways, everyone? Let me know what they are. And what you've learned through, you know, what you're going to take away and implement. What are you going to implement? Not about learning, implementation. What would you implement? One thing.
For me, it's really all the time we have been busy doing, because we already lucky enough to have some, you know, to have the group business in place. COVID-19 threw everybody off. So we're developing hybrid. For me, one thing takeaway is really refresh myself with all these fancy marketing terms in a systematic way. It's very, very useful, because if you tend to do Facebook, I just realized our Twitter account, maybe for 2 years we didn't bother. Twitter wasn't good for us. But it's a time, say, you know, shall we keep it present or just terminate it? Tidy up. We take away is really look at these big headlines to see what is suitable for us, and then make it time to renew our marketing strategy, because you tend to be taken away. And you don't fresh yourself up.
100%.
So thank you for this lunchtime seminar. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. Emmanuel, what is your biggest implementation?
Definitely it's personas. I think that's my ideal starting point. So creating one of those, and then from there I can better develop a marketing strategy and understand how I can best target how I can best acquire customers.
Acquire, like it, language, love it. And Gareth, have you finished? Sorry.
That's it.
And Gareth, what are you going to take away?
SEO for me. I need to it's been on my list actually. This is a reminder to look at that, look into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Amazing.
so I've got a website, but I'm not haven't put enough time into driving traffic to it.
Yeah.
Especially,
Have you got a Google My Business? Have you got a Google, like your business on Google, if that makes sense?
Yeah, the workspace.
Yes. Okay, good. Because that'll help as well with your views. You see how many people are visiting or searching for your particular website, or terms or keywords and stuff like that. That will help to measure it at least.
I did hear that can sometimes SEO optimization doesn't necessarily always give the results that you desire. So it can be a bit of an expensive, and not necessarily get what you want out of it.
Yeah.
People actually say trying to go down the whole organic
like
route,
marketing.
Help might be more beneficial, but I know I've never done it before, so I just heard.
I mean, in my case, with if you take guitar lessons, if somebody local were to Google that, no doubt all the agencies would come up at the top, and they'd be more likely to find me via those than my actual website. So at the moment, anyway.
Thank you, everybody. It's been fabulous. See you later. Have a great rest of your afternoon. And potentially there are new ones every week. So just go to like the Eventbrite site. I'm sure you probably know, for Elevate. And there's loads of new ones coming out all the way up until I think April. So yes, join them. Why not?